Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. I want to get into this story out of Dallas, man. And it's sad. And it happens all too often, but I felt I needed to ask a few questions and comment and give my take on this because there's some people, a lot of us, we need to start thinking and questioning exactly what are we doing in our lives and what are we doing for our children. Are we doing whatever we can to create a better life for our kids? Because that is going to be the only way for us as a society to decrease the poverty and crime rate. I'm just gonna say in the Black community. I don't know anything about anybody else's community. I'm just gonna talk about my own people. Now, I grew up on the east side of Pleasant Grove in Dallas. When my parents first moved there, it was what we call now old money, middle class, a few whites, few blacks, whatever. Majority whites, a lot of black people. More middle class families, husband, wives, kids, what have you. As time went on, we had more, let's just say more of the riffraff come in. I was young when this happened, but it's you know how it go. You know how the hood goes. If you go to PG right now, people tell you, man, no way in hell I moved to Pleasant Grove. That's what people tell you. But especially certain parts. Certain parts back in the day, you had to walk. I mean, it's little, still a little crime, a little hood, whatever. But now, shit, you'd be crazy. Anyway, but my point is, like I'm saying, are we doing what we need to do to improve our kids and our grandkids' life? Like, seriously, on all aspects. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to. A lot of these people like to pray to God, claim to go to church, read the Bible. Well, if that's the case, then you need to really familiarize yourself with the story of Moses. Because Moses, dealt with some hard-headed ass people, man. What like millions? So the stories go to get them out of bondage. Most of them didn't even know they was in bondage. I mean, does that ring a bell nowadays? A lot of us living comfortably, got our Air Jordans, you know what I'm saying? Got our internet, cell phones, do what we want to, but don't realize a lot of times we're still living in some sort of bondage. But it's not the way, and it's not the way that the Most High wants us to live, because there's a lot of death and destruction going on in our community. So Moses got his people and, worked his butt off to get his folks up out of Egypt. And some people didn't want to leave. They're like, man, why am I going to this wilderness for? Is you crazy? But Moses was told and he knew that he was not going to see the promised land. But he had to get his people, he had to lead his people out of that destruction so that his people can have a chance to live the way that they need to live. And that's how it is now. We think that we're doing good, we're okay, because we can wake up and we can pray and say, oh my gosh, tomorrow will be a better day, a change gonna come, all that kind of yes. And the change is not gonna come because we're not doing the actions of Moses. So sacrificing ourselves, giving our lives in order for our people to live, to get out of bondage. But anyway, let me get to this story, man. This is from Fox 4 News, and it says murder charges dropped against the 3 suspects in South Dallas shooting of 14-year-old. Charges were dropped against 3 suspects in the murder in the murder of a 14-year-old Manuel Edwards in September 2022. So this happened a few months ago. After the district attorney's office opted not to take the case to a grand jury. Quote, "It was like my heart dropped because I thought I was fixing to get justice for my son," said Cynthia Edwards. Manuel was deleted in the South Dallas vacant lot along Al Lipscomb Way. They kept, okay. Now, like I said, young brother was deleted in the vacant lot. Probably saying what he's doing in the vacant lot. Well, you know, kids like to play around. But let's go to the original story real quick, and we'll come back to this. It says 14-year-old dies in the South Dallas shooting. This is September 25th, 2022. Dallas police are investigating the fatal shooting of a 14-year-old early Sunday morning. The shooting happened just before 1:30 a.m. Call me square, call me whatever you want. But when I was 14, let me see, what is 14? I graduated at 18. Either you're in junior high or you're a freshman in high school, maybe a sophomore, I don't know. 2-year gap. So you're like 9th grade, give or take a year. Let's say that. 9th grade at 1:30 in the morning. I'm in the house. You go to the movies, you know, when the movie is over, you call your parents, tell them to come get you. You go to the movies, watch movies, play video games, talk to girls, you know what I'm saying, me mug other dudes, you know, because we're young, do dumb stuff like that, think playing games in the street and stuff like that. But when it's time to go home, some of us could call our parents to come get us, or our brothers or whoever to come get us. Had that luxury. At 1:30 in the morning, well, that's when they found the team. Well, let's say it happened just before 1:30 in the morning. We would be in the house. So the question is, again, like I said in the previous story, when stories like this come out, I need to know the details. And you want to know why you need to know the details on stuff like this or everything, not because you're nosy. Because first thing people say, oh, you just nosy, you just all of my business, you just want to judge me and this and the third. No. There may be people who will judge you, but me, myself, I want to know how this situation came about to where a 14-year-old boy is out at 1:30 in the morning. So if he got shot at 1:30 in the morning, that means he was not planning on going home no time soon. They say the shooting happened just before 1:30 a.m. when officers found a teen in the vacant lot with several gunshot wounds in 2900 block of Al Lipscomb Way in South Dallas. He later died at a Dallas hospital. The victim's name has not been released. Police believe the shooting may have come after a fight between a group that ended in gunfire. Witnesses told police the armed suspect ran toward a nearby complex. No arrests have been made. Investigations going on. Like I said, that was in September. Fast forwarded, they've dropped the charges, and let's get into that. So, again, what led up to this? Like, what is the home like? The mother? Where's the father? Man, like I say, it's a lot, but to fix a problem, you have, and this is what you got to understand. To fix a problem, you have to get to the root. And the reason why problems are not fixed because people will not allow you to get to the root problem. Let's just talk about something like when men go through dysfunction, you know, what they call it, ED and PE and stuff like that. So a lot of dudes won't go get help. They in denial because they don't want to go. Oh, let's say these men don't want to go to prostate. You know, don't want to go to the doctor because they don't want to do putting their finger in their butt, to, you know what I'm saying, to make sure they're okay. I'm the type of dude, I'm like this. If it needs to be done because you have to, if it needs to be done to prevent problems, to catch problems early, you need to go and do it. Period. Whether it's uncomfortable or not, me, I'm not uncomfortable with anything. If I have any kind of problems, I'm gonna go straight to the doctor and say, hey man, look here, here's the issue. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hey, I'm 45 years old. Let's get this exam done or whatever. You know, whatever needs to be done. I'm gonna make sure that I live because I like living. I enjoy living. I love living. Good Lord, I love living. So I want to live to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible, because I don't want to be in misery with that. And that probably comes with being in working in the hospital, seeing people suffer, working in clinics, seeing people suffer, working in what do you call it, like med surg, working in ICU, working in post surgery, working in dialysis, things like this. You see people who got these chronic problems, and what some of the common denominators are: sedentary lifestyle, poor dietary choices, drug use, stress, things of this nature. Some things that they can actually correct just by changing life, making lifestyle changes. And you look at it like, man, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be like that. I want to do everything I can to avoid that. Nothing is 100% guaranteed, but I want to do my damnedest to not get to that point, right? So but you have to know a person's backstory. If a person want to say, oh, well, doc, I like fried chicken. Okay. Well, you like fried chicken, you like candy, you like cookies, you like to sit on your butt and watch TV all day. You don't get out. So doctor said, look, here's what you need to do. Plain and simple. This is how you're going to correct it. And it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. You didn't gain these 200 pounds overnight, so you're not going to lose overnight, but you got to do something to reverse this problem, or not. If not, you're going to die a miserable life. You're going to have a miserable life, and you're going to die miserable when you got to go to dialysis treatment. You got diabetes, you got to get stuck, poked and prodded because of diabetes. You have an amputation, you're going to need a walker, you're going to need a wheelchair. Things like that, of that nature, of stuff that you could have avoided if you'd have made better choices. But again, we make bad choices when we're young, but when we get older, when you know better, you do better. Let's change. Do it for the babies, man. So back to the story. Man was shot and killed, shot and deleted in South Dallas, making a lot of long hours listening away. Quote, they kept destroying my baby's memorial. I had to fix it up, says Edwards. Man, when you look at the picture of this boy, and man, I may be biased, I may be old, but that hair always gets me. I am just not a fan of the dreadlocks, which is funny because when I was in high school, I wanted dreadlocks, or locks. Let's just call them locks. I did back in high school. I wanted because I thought it was like the coolest thing to have, better than braids. Because braids, I don't know. But I wanted to have like locks in my hair and stuff like that. Parents like, not in this house. And I can understand why, because there's a stigma behind it. And now it's a big stigma because the first thing you look at the YouTube videos. Look at the drill rappers. The first thing you notice is the hair and the pants. That's the first thing you know. The locks and the tight pants are sagging below their butt. It's the first thing I see. So when people always say, don't judge a book by its cover, but why would you want to look like somebody who's out, who has a reputation, or who presents themselves as people who are trying to do wrong? Now, you might say, hey, what about old gangsters back in the day? Back in the day, they used to wear suits and ties. Yep. But but they look professional. You know what I'm saying? And they knew how to blend in, so it may have been a little harder. See, there's rules to the game, but don't want to give too many, tidbits and too much information out there. But anyway, if you walk around in a suit and tie, put some slacks on, cut your hair, look nice, those clean cut shoes, you can blend in with everybody else and still pretty much do what you want to do. But don't take it overboard, because eventually they will weed you out. But you think differently when you look different, when you dress this. But anyway, let me get on back to the story. Now the capital murder charges against Trevion Harris, Alonzo Simpson, and Gregory Ellison have been dropped. Now notice that these names are in this article, which means that they were charged with this. See, okay, so a statement from Dallas police reads, the charges were dropped at the request of the district attorney's office due to insufficient evidence for an indictment. The investigation is going on. Part of the question in this case surrounded anonymous tips. Check it out. Quote, if those individuals are going to remain anonymous, you are going to have difficulty with that at trial, said Russell Wilson, a defense attorney not involved in the case. Remember, we're here in Dallas County, and identity was one of the causes of wrongful convictions year in, year out. So you want to be correct on the identity and the specific role that any other particular person played or did not play. People, the police know who did it. The streets know who did it. People always say, well, hey, I'm not the police. I'm not going to do their job. They're going to do their own job. Do you know the police cannot solve crimes without the help of the people? This is a known fact. Whether it's someone coming in and testifying, giving eyewitness statements, or if you got a camera just, having to record the incident. They cannot do it on their own because they're not patrolling 24/7 every block. You can't. But if they were, which is what a lot of people don't understand, is what you're going to lead up to eventually. If you want the crime rate, if you want crimes to be solved, what's going to happen is something that people don't want to happen, and that is that there actually will be cameras on every street corner, on every building, in the sky, in the satellites, watching your every move, period. It's going to happen. If not, then regular law-abiding citizens are going to have to step up and play their part. It ain't snitching if you ain't involved. If you know something, you tell something. I know back in the day, moms would be like, boy, if you know something, you better go tell them police that, and they'll beat your butt. Until you told the police, Mama can't tell my friends. What? And they be, slapping the piss out of you the whole time. Now, these mamas don't say nothing. You know why? Because they say they scared. They scared because, again, in this story, I heard a mama saying that they destroying his mirror, which let you know he got enemies. Somebody destroying the mirror, ain't nobody seen. They keep destroying it. Where the camera at to watch it? Where the police at to watch it? They keep destroying, have police at to watch it. They're not doing that. You see what I'm saying? This is probably some kind of gang-related stuff. Yeah, 14 years old, yeah, you might call them baby. But I know 14-year-olds who have deleted people. No 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15, 16, whatever, teenagers who have deleted people without even batting an eye. So they do. Because they don't know no better. They don't understand the consequences, repercussions until they get older. And by that time, it's too late because they either in paying attention to themselves, or they might be deleted themselves. So, people, you got to get involved. You got to take those chances. And I know it might be easy for me to say, because hey, I grew up out of the Grove, got me a professional career, married kids, moved kids to the suburbs, in a small little town now, got a nice house, little acreage. I was able to do it. Had a great support group, and I think that's one thing that's missing is support groups for these kids, for these families, for these women. Like I said, these women, these men that make dumb decisions. I'm gonna say they dumb because it's kind of dumb to me. I mean, and I did the same thing back in the day. It's kind of dumb to have kids when you ain't got the financial support, the financial means to support them. So even support yourself. It's dumb. It just is, but it just means you gotta get you a plan and stick to it and sacrifice. And unfortunately, you gotta sacrifice some time and effort with them children, but you make sure the time that you sacrifice is not out there partying, turning up, doing, whatever. Living your best life. You sacrificing time to go to school, to learn a trade, get a career, so that they can have a possibility of witnessing a decent life. You just do, man. But again, like saying, the police can't do the job without you, period. I don't care what you try to put on them. And this is happening in your own community, so you know whatever's going on is going to keep going on. And if you got 3 guys, at least, who know they're about to get away with a crime, they're going to terrorize that whole neighborhood. You might, if they're not already doing it, you can just chalk it up. They're just going to terrorize the neighborhood. My thing is, where are the men in this community? Where are, matter of fact, the district attorney, where are, the city council, where the 100 black men of America, where the football coaches, the basketball coaches in the neighborhood, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? To say, hey, y'all need to step out and get these boys locked up because they're menace to society. If you don't, they're going to continue to terrorize your community. Or you just need to move. Maybe do like the women doing and move out the country. That could be one of the things you need to do. But also you got to keep in mind, make sure your kid is not one of those people that's committing these crimes too. Because that's one thing that's a problem is a lot of times folks say, man, I moved my kids out of this neighborhood because the neighborhood is bad, these boys are bad, but then a lot of times your son or your daughter is part of the problem. What if you taught your kid? Oh, I raised you better than that, didn't you? You sure? Sure. Were you there? Because if you were working 2-3 jobs a day, you ain't raised them kids. You may have said some things. If you got men going in and out your house, a new boyfriend every week coming in and out your house, you ain't raised your kid. You showing them things. You can say one thing, but if you showing them something else, it's not benefiting them at all, positively. But again, but back to the story, the DA is like, look, if people want to stay anonymous and don't want to testify, we can't prosecute because we can't get up there on a stand and go by hearsay. It just won't stick in court. You got to have evidence that says these are the guys that did it. Lock them up. But if you're not going to give the evidence, then these guys just going, criminals just going to run free. And like you were saying, we know in our community, there's quite a few of us that we found out that have been put in jail, locked up for life, for crimes that that they did not commit off of, hearsay or not concrete evidence, but just off of witness, those statements who, got it wrong. But if you got enough people to say, hey, I know these guys did it. Like I say, the police and the streets know who did. Most of the time in these crimes, they know who committed it. The thing is the evidence. Need the community help, to get put on for evidence. But people want to understand, people want to start using a racist thing. Racism, you know what I'm saying? Just, or hate police and all that kind of bullcorn. Man, whatever. I don't trust me, don't like when I get pulled over. Or I see him, my spidey sense goes up too. But when it's time for them to do their job, God doggone, they better do it. It's simple as that. I mean, I'm sure the family members you don't like job, people at your job, at your school you don't like, but doggone, people on your team that you don't like, but them they better do, you're gonna expect them to do what they need to do, or it's gonna be problems. Y'all gonna have problems, but they're gonna have problems. They're gonna have even more problems, they can't do their job. But yeah, they just trying to avoid, cause number one, another thing, and people, you gotta learn the law. Y'all start learning the law. And they take these boys to trial, and they don't have any evidence on them, and they actually go to trial, and they don't have enough evidence, and they found these boys not guilty. They can't try these guys again. So they'll roam the streets for the rest of their life knowing they cannot. It's called double jeopardy. Learn about it. So my thing is, people, you gotta do the right thing. We got to do the right thing as a community. Keep our kids safe. Again, gotta live the story of Moses. Do what needs to be done to sacrifice. If everybody ain't gonna do right, and those who don't want to do right, you teach them as much as you can, but then after a while, it's like, hey, you gotta go and do something else. Quote, I would just read this as the DA saying they want additional investigation or additional information to continue, particularly in the capital murder case. You have to remember one, the serious nature of the charge. We're talking about an automatic life sentence. And so the earlier you can iron out questions regarding evidence or the sufficiency of evidence, the better off you are as a prosecutor. It's like the first 48. The TV show, they say the first 4 days is the most important time because that's when the evidence is fresh, people's minds are fresh, and you get better accounts of what happened. Meanwhile, Manuel's mother mourns. I need somebody to come up and talk because I want justice for my baby. I can't keep going through this. I can't keep going through this. It hurts every day. I'm just trying to stay strong. I'm just trying to stay strong. He was my only child, and that's got to be killer. Your only child, 14. You have one child. At least, you know, you had the sense not to have another one until, you know, maybe until you felt you could provide. So there's no telling what she's doing to provide. Again, I would love to hear the backstory, just to see what she went through, how she's living, so that everything can be corrected. But hey, bottom line of this story, man, if you know something, and I'm sure if there's a group of people, that means there's a lot of people around. Now, another thing with the law is, if there was a fight, crime being committed. Now, understand this too in Texas. This is interesting. I don't think a lot of people know. If it's mutual combat between two parties, you can actually, in Texas, you can actually go out in the middle of the street and fight in front of the police, and you know what I'm saying, and they will not intervene if it's mutual combat. True story. That's a law. But now, if you go out and try to delete somebody, that's something differently. But so if everyone who came in to this vacant lot agreed to fight, and they were fighting, but then somebody, so technically they're not committing a crime, but if somebody pulls out a weapon, that is a crime. That person who did that will be charged. Now, if someone came in with the intent on pulling out a weapon. If you brought a weapon, then your intention was that you probably going to use it, so it's not really mutual combat. You see what I'm saying? But let's say one side didn't have a weapon, but the other one did. There you go. But anyway, but it's a lot of details in this, and I don't want to go one way without thinking about the other way. But, you know, these laws have it that if y'all in the car together and let's say you're going to commit a crime, and this could be what, you know, a lot of these youngsters and people who don't know about the law are afraid of, and let's say you ride in the car with somebody and that person jumps out and you don't know, and they go in there and rob a bank, shoot everybody in there and come out. If you and y'all leave, you in the car with them, you an accessory, and you know you'll be charged with the same crime, and you knew nothing about it. It just happens. That's the way the law is. So I can understand them maybe worrying about that. But if you're worrying about somebody retaliating because you talking, let me tell you what you do. One, do like everybody else, get you a weapon. Two, learn self-defense. Learn the law. You know what I'm saying? Band together as a group and say, hey, y'all little three dudes are not finna terrorize this neighborhood. You think you're going to, come at me. You know what I'm saying? I got no hesitation for taking out, you know what I'm saying, some kids, some teenagers, because they'll have no hesitation for taking you out, as you can see the story go. But anyway, tell me what you think about the story. Like I said, I mean, it's sad. I hate to see these charges being dropped against these three guys, because like I said, the police and the streets know who did it. People need to step up, man. We just step up as a community and we got to do things like this so that give our kids and grandkids a chance. And cut that boy's hair. Make him pull up his pants and wear a belt. Let's go back to using Stay Flow, starching our jeans and stuff, and keeping our shoes clean and stuff like that. Anyway, that's all I got. Tell me what you think. With that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you.